Just in case you're unfamiliar with Wikipedia, it's the online encyclopedia and a source for information on just about everything. But there's a huge information gap which students and faculty at Howard University are trying to fill. I spoke earlier to Arise News contributor Eric Ham about the effort at the historically black university. Eric, hey, it's good to see you. So I'll just start with the foundational question. Why has Howard University taken upon themselves to fill in the cultural gaps about African Americans and African American history on Wikipedia?
You know, it's a really sad state because what we're seeing is because you just have such a lack of diversity in organizations like Wikipedia and other organizations of its ilk, you have people at Howard University who have now had to kind of like take on the mantle and do much of the work that they simply either aren't able to do or simply will not do. And so they've started to fill in the gaps, not only just what's going on in some of the issues regarding Howard University, but also some of the other major historical figures surrounding black history as well.
Well, Wikipedia, as everybody knows, is publicly sourced. That means that almost anybody can go on and add information. So that begs the question, why is Wikipedia so-called white? So-called white?
You know, I think that's the million-dollar question. I was actually in a newsroom yesterday, and it was a sea of Caucasians, you know, throughout the facility. And I think that's just one of the major problems that we have, you know, not just in social media and new media, but even in traditional media as well, where you just have a dearth of diversity and people of color. And so, unfortunately, we just don't get the well-rounded view of not just what's going on in this country, but throughout the globe.
I have to admit, I am not a fan of using Wikipedia for a credible source. However, I'm known to go on there, and the big events are there, and there stuff about MLK or you know, Black History Month, that kind of thing. So run down for me where the obvious holes are.
Well, if you look at just some of the things that they're going through right now, there's actually been this organization called the Dark Room Collective, which is a group of African American literary experts who actually shaped literature back in the 80s and 90s. We don't have them on there. You have Beth Morgan, a former astrophysicist at NASA. She's not on there. You've got a very cultural iconic street in Jackson, Mississippi, Ferris Street. That's not on there. And so you've basically got a group of experts and researchers and students who are doing the work of Wikipedia. And what's actually sad is probably in the next decade or so, Wikipedia will probably be seen as one of the go-to sites, because it's moving in that direction now, one of the go-to sites for research.
Yeah, a lot of people already consider it that. From a practical standpoint, how is Howard going about this?
Well, like I said, you know, they've actually put together a really, I think, dynamic group of experts, scientists, academics, and editors who are actually at Howard University. In fact, one of the people who have helped edit this project for Howard University is a professor who teaches from the Dark Room Collective. And she's actually been helping to edit. In fact, one of the buildings where they're actually working on this project, they've actually taken the name of that building, which is not on Howard University's Wikipedia page, and actually included it. And also, here's something else to think about. You know, Howard University has a vibrant school of communications, and I didn't see that, you know, anywhere on that page. And so, you know, there's been a lot of events that have really taken place, and Howard has actually helped shape not just African Americans, but the city of Washington, D.C. And you just don't get that when you read the Wikipedia page of Howard University.
Eric, before I let you go, let me ask you about another big story that affects Washington, and that is former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani has made some very provocative statements about President Barack Obama, saying that he does not love America. When he was criticized for making that statement and then being called racist for it, his rebuttal was that Obama was raised by a white woman around white people, so it wasn't racism. I'm just curious, how is this playing inside the Beltway?
Well, actually, because there's so much going on here, this has become a major issue in the sense that you have the former mayor who is seen as still America's mayor, you know, former mayor of America's largest U.S. city. criticizing the President of the United States. And so I think this is just another hand grenade that's just kind of thrown into the midst to just kind of, deepen the partisanship between Republicans and Democrats. And I think, this is just one of the last things that's needed, particularly when you have the president hosting the White House summit combating extremism. You've got the Department of Homeland Security budget up in the air. You've got Loretta Lynch, first African-American woman nominated to head the Department of Justice. Her nomination's on the docket. And then you've got the former mayor during 9/11, no less, making these very caustic statements, just very difficult to comprehend at this moment.
Yeah, Eric Ham, thanks so much.
You bet. Thanks so much.